Okay, now let's implement the logic so that we can edit the text within our timer cards. First of all, let's create an event listener on the title input field. We'll call it update title. And what we're going to do inside this event listener is to first get the state from the store. In other words, finding the particular timer object from our store, and then we'll update the title field inside it. And finally, save it back inside the store. So to get our timer state from the store, we can simply make use of our helper function, getItemIndex from the previous episode, and we can create a new updated timer object by unpacking the previous timer object and overriding the title field. For the new value, we can simply grab it from our event target property. And now we need to call the dispatcher function to override our target inside the store. Again, we can make use of the existing setTimers action, and the payload will be all the timers object before our target index plus our updated timer, and finally everything after our target index. Alright, let's give it a go. I'll go ahead and edit the first timer object, and as you can see, we can edit the title without any issue. Let's add another timer. Edit the title. Looking good. And now let's verify the state inside our React developer tool within a global provider. We can see that our states are indeed updated in the store. So far, so good. Let's do the same for the duration field as well. Similar as before, we need to create an event listener and attach to our editable input element. And now the code will be very similar to what we have done already inside the update title event listener, so we just need to copy and paste, right? Well, hold on a sec. Copy and pasting is a big red flag. Technically speaking, the only thing that we need to do differently this time is the field name. So instead of title, what we wanted is the duration field, and the rest of the function is basically the same. So the big question now here is, can we do better without copy and pasting? Well, you know the drill. The answer is yes. We are going to use some magic to work around this. There are a few ways to solve this issue, but here I'm going to apply some functional technique to solve this problem. Now the idea is to create a higher order function that returns an event listener function. Let me show you how it works. We will create another function called updateTimer, and it will accept an attribute argument. Now this attribute argument will be our field name. In other words, either title or duration. And as we mentioned before, this is a higher order function that will return the actual event listener. So we will return a function here, and the logic inside this function is basically the same as what we have done before in the update title function. We will copy and paste the existing logic, but this time, rather than hard coding the field, we will make it dynamic by referring to the attribute argument. And now look at this. We've got a function that will create the event listener. And that means we can refactor our existing code by throwing our existing event listener into the bin, because we can now create our event listener by calling our update timer function. We just need to change the attribute argument and everything should work fine. Let's test our code. I'll change the title and durations and verify it in the React developer tool. And everything seems to be working fine. Beautiful. And I just noticed that our timer cards are not aligning properly. Let's fix that by applying some classes in the timer list component. Let's flex some magic. And that should do the job. Okay, let's move on. We will work on the logic for the toggle now, so every time when we toggle on the loop indefinitely switch here, we should update the state in a store. And that means we need to add a new data inside our store. Let's go to our timer store, and we'll add a new field called isInfinite inside the state object. And we'll give it a default value of true. And now back inside our timer component, we will simply read the isInfinite state from our store, bind the value of the toggle, and also create a new event listener for our toggle component. So inside this onToggle event listener, what we want to do is to update the isInfinite state. Currently, our reducer cannot handle this operation. Let's go to our reducer and implement this logic. It is the same kind of rule. Let's add a new action. And in a switch case, we'll simply override the value of the isInfinite state, where we'll get a new value from the payload property in the action. Alright, let's go back to our timer component. And now inside the onToggle event listener, we simply need to call the dispatcher function. The type will be our newly created action, which is setIsInfinite, and the payload would come from the event target and a check property. That comes from the underlying checkbox HTML element. Alright, let's test our code. If we click on the toggle, it seems to be working. And if we look at the developer tool, our isInfinite state is indeed changing. Beautiful. Alright, I think it's a good place to stop here. In the next lesson, we will implement the logic on what will happen after we click on the start button. I will see you there. If you would like to see more content, consider supporting us by becoming a member at my website, Acadea.io. It is similar to Patreon, but in return, you get a lot of premium tutorials and lessons. If you can't become a member, that's totally fine. We are just happy that you are here. We spend a lot of time and energy to produce high-quality videos for you. Feel free to check out our other videos on YouTube, and if you can leave a thumbs up, you will really make my day. If you subscribe, I would jump for joy, and I'll make more videos for you. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you next time.